the converse of the Pythagorean theorem? Where have we heard this term before? Converse. The shoes, good. Anybody heard of Converse shoes? Yes, I see some of us wearing Converse shoes. A couple pairs myself. What does Converse mean? Besides just being the name of a shoe brand, does anyone know what the word Converse actually means? What is that? To correct?
No, like correct. To move? Convert.
Okay, I kind of see what you mean. Change, kind of. Yeah. Yeah. Group together, good. I love all these. It's kind of like another word for converse would be like opposite. Does that make sense? So when Converse, the shoe brand, was founded, right, they were one of the first shoes to use rubber in the soles of the shoes. Before then, it was just all wood soles in the shoes. So the name Converse comes from kind of going against the grain and doing the opposite, where all these other shoe companies at the time in like the early 1900s were making shoes with wood soles and wood bottoms. Converse did the opposite, and they went with rubber soles. Specifically for basketball back in the day. If you ever look at old pictures of like super old black and white NBA games, all the players are wearing Converse, which is weird to think about now, because that's like the last shoe you would want to play basketball in. But it started out as a basketball shoe company using rubber soles. So when you think of Converse, I want you to think of opposite, not shoes. Think opposite. You can think of shoes too, but it's not going to help you with this math. Think opposite. All right? If you're conversing with someone, what are you doing? You're arguing, good, or just talking, right? If we're in a conversation, we're just talking back and forth. So you talk, and then I talk, and then you talk, and then I talk. So going back and forth, kind of opposite, taking turns. This is just to get, a little bit better understanding of what we're going to be doing. So, we're going to be answering the question, is it a right triangle? Very simple question. There's only two possible answers. What are the two possible answers to this question? Yes or no. Exactly. Is it a right triangle? Could be yes. Could be no. Here's how we're going to figure out whether it's yes or no. We're going to be given 3 side lengths of a triangle, and we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to verify if they would create a right triangle or not. This kind of goes back to what we talked about before with true statements and false statements. So for example, if I'm given 6 inches, 8 inches, 10 inches as my 3 side lengths, the first thing we want to do is identify which side length is the hypotenuse. Between 6, 8, and 10, what would you say the hypotenuse is? 10? Give me a thumbs up if you agree with that 10 is my hypotenuse. Only 5 of us agree. Okay, good. Why is 10 the hypotenuse here? I can't even see the triangle. Because it's the longest side. Exactly. Which means that 6 and 8 must be my what? Legs. My legs. 6 and 8 are my legs. 10 is my hypotenuse. All I got to do is plug these 3 numbers in and solve it out. All right? What can I plug in for A? 6. What can I plug in for B? 8. What can I plug in for C? 10. Now I want you to be careful. We're not always going to be plugging them in the order that they're written. That's why the first thing you want to do is figure out which side is the longest. That's going to be the one you plug in on the right for C. Now let's solve this out. What's 6 squared? 36. What about 8 squared? 64. And 10 squared? 100. What do I get when I add 36 and 64? 100. So we're left with the equation 100 equals 100. Does 100 equal 100? Yes, it does. So because this statement is true, this is a right triangle. Remember, the Pythagorean theorem only works with right triangles. So if we're given 3 side lengths, those 3 side lengths might form a triangle, but they might not necessarily form a right triangle. That's what we're doing with this word. It's verifying whether 3 side lengths form a right triangle or not. And it's that simple. Just plug them in. Longest side on the right. Solve it out. Look for a true statement or a false statement. Questions I can answer about how we did that? No? Let's do another example. We got 12 centimeters, 9 centimeters, and 16 centimeters. Which side is the hypotenuse? 16, and I forgot to take that out, so there it is for you, 16. So let's plug everything in. What can I plug in for A? 12, sure. What can I plug in for B? 9, perfect. What can I plug in for C? 16. Okay, we're almost done. Just stay with me. Okay. What is 12 squared? What is 9 squared? What is 16 squared? Nice, 256. Good. What happens when we add 144 and 81? 225. So now the equation we're left with is 225 equals 256. Is that a true statement? No. Because this statement is false, this is not a right triangle. It still forms a triangle, but not a right triangle. All right, so that's what we want to find out. 2 possible answers to the question, yes or no. 2 different things to look for, a true statement to give you a yes. Let's even write up here, yes. If we get a false statement at the end, my answer is no. Very, very simple. Let's do an example. I'm gonna have you guys try it on your own. We'll see what you guys can come up with. I know it seems pretty straightforward, so this shouldn't take very long. Let's say I've got 4 kilometers, 8 kilometers, and 7 kilometers. Take a moment, figure out if that forms a right triangle or not. Work it out on your own. We'll come back together and talk about it in like a minute and a half. No, no trick people. So think carefully. Go ahead and look this one up. Seven squared is 80. What is 7 times 7? 49. Now, take a look. If I have 4, 8, and 7, what's my longest sum? C is my longest sum. Plug my 7. You gotta switch to 7. Right? I said it's not always going to be in order. Yeah. Yeah. What's your name, real quick? Roman? Jovan. How do you spell it? Oh, J-O-E. Okay, go ahead. Just take the passes up by the door. All right, let's take a look. Let's see what we got. Good. Good. Perfect. Nice. Perfect. Good. Good. Great job. Yeah.
6:30. Did you get 65?
Bye-bye.
You don't get on call?
So what, how did you set Yes. Exactly. Okay. Good. That makes sense to you. All right, let's take a look. Let's make sure we plugged everything in correctly. Okay, let's come back together, guys. All right. If I've got a squared plus b squared equals c squared, I look back. The first thing, the first thing we need to do, identify which side is the hypotenuse. Which of these 3 side lengths is my hypotenuse? 8. Even though it's not on the end, we have to make sure we're plugging the longest side in for C. Okay, so I did see a couple people make that mistake. You might accidentally get the right answer, but we got to make sure the longest side is C. So I'm going to plug in 4, 7, and 8. I'm going to square them, add them, see what I get. What is 4 squared? Perfect. What's 7 squared? What about 8 squared? What is 16 plus 49? 65. Is 65 equal to 64? No. So would these 3 side lengths form a right triangle? No, they would not. There's our answer.